Hi, I'm Richard Maraj, Senior Minister at Unity of Phoenix Spiritual Center, and I want to thank you for visiting our website and for tuning in to today's message. If you feel inspired by today's talk, I really encourage you to make a donation by hitting that button below and making a contribution to this ministry. It'll allow us to continue these messages online and to do the great work we do here at Unity of Phoenix, which is to inspire people to live better lives. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for your support, and we hope to see you at a Sunday real soon.
Morning again, everyone. And a special shout out to Jens and Melody, who watch us each week in Germany. And it's a small town, and if I try to say it, I will butcher it, so let's leave it at, they watch us from Germany. Hey, lots of love to you guys. Woo! Hey, so we're really blessed. So we have people looking at us. I mean, some in France and some in Denmark. So it's really cool how people tap in to the message we have here at Unity of Phoenix Spiritual Center. So thanks for all that. So it's 2019. Can you believe it already? And with every new year, there is an inherent excitement and enthusiasm that comes with a new start, that comes with a new beginning. And, because it always represents some hope, for a better life. And immediately we start thinking of things that we want to improve, things we want to change, how we want to better ourselves, how we want to transform our lives. And whether you call it resolutions or intentions or goals or visions, we start, putting out a variety of things that we believe if we add to our lives, it'll bring more happiness and fulfillment. And so whether it is exercising and getting in better shape, being more disciplined with our diet or losing weight, whether it's reducing our debt or spending more time with our families or reading more, we have all this list of things that we believe that if we get and attract and create in our lives, that our lives will be happier. And the cool thing about all the wanting and desiring a better life, we also have incredible tools that we don't even realize how powerful they are that we've been given that give us the ability to create and manifest a better life. When it says ask and we shall receive, the ability to ask is really a catalyst that gets things moving in our lives. To seek and to knock, it says decide upon a thing and it'll be established for you. That our ability of just getting clear and deciding what we want or having a vision is a powerful tool that we've been given to create and manifest a better life. And also the power of our thinking. It says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That our ability to think positive thoughts and also speaking the power of the word. These are all great tools. So we're so blessed that while we desire, we also have the resources and spiritual tools to create the kind of life we want. And not only do we desire a better life, but the foundation of it is also knowing that God, the source, the creator, the divine intelligence that created us, also wants us to have a great life. Is always seeking to express more light and life and love into our lives. Let me give you a few scriptures. The first one from Jeremiah 29, verse 11, and it says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Some other ones include from Matthew. Jesus said, it is the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. Jesus also said he came that we may have life and have it more abundantly. He said that he came that his joy may be in us and our joy may be complete. And the Apostle Paul said that all things work together for good for those who love God. And all these are really saying that God, the creator, our source, loves us, supports us, and wants the very best for us. And it's really saying that this universe is conspiring for our happiness, our success, and our well-being. Sometimes we think the world's out to get us, and life is always a struggle. But the truth is that our desires, we have spiritual tools, and our desires are supported by the very Creator that made us, that is wanting to manifest more good in our lives. And to me, knowing this is a great reminder to start the new year. To remember, we got a great start already. And so, but here's the one thing I realize, is that sometimes we set our goals, our intentions, and by the end of the year, we're not feeling as fulfilled. And I think as good and wonderful as asking and seeking and deciding and holding a vision and speaking and thinking the word is, I think there's an additional power that is as powerful, maybe even more powerful, of transforming and improving our lives in a great and wonderful way. And it is a practice I don't think we believe in or we're not really very good at, but I think it is the thing that improves our relationships. It's a thing that'll improve our health. It is a thing that'll help us make better decisions and be more clear. And you know what this exciting spiritual power in this practice is? It's an amazing thing. This amazing power that we don't always use effectively is the power of listening. Yeah. And I can see by how profoundly underwhelmed you are. And the fact is, listening is not a very sexy or inspiring thing. I bet you if we listed 20 things that'll improve our lives and make it better, I guarantee listening will not be a part of it. But I guarantee you that listening is one of the most transformational and powerful gifts that we have. Listening will improve our relationships. Listening will improve our health. Listening will make us feel more connected and have clearer guidance. And as powerful as this is, we don't believe it, but we don't always use it, and we're not so good at it. Several times in the Bible, Jesus says, you have ears, but do not hear. There are many things that we don't listen to. 3 things we don't listen to. We don't listen to people in our lives that well. One of the most common complaints in relationships comes in this form. He just doesn't listen. She never listens. My kids, they don't listen. And kids say, my parents, they don't listen. The boss, he doesn't listen. Anybody been in a conversation where you're talking with someone and you can tell they're not listening? Anyone ever been in a conversation and they were talking and you weren't listening? Okay. Somebody once said that we're either speaking or waiting to speak because we're actually not listening. Most people say, I don't have a good memory. But the number one thing of not remembering people's name is? We weren't listening in the first place. Another one is listening to yourself. How well do you listen to yourself? How well do you listen to your body? How well do you listen to your gut and your intuition? You ever, there was something to eat and you loved it a lot, and but it didn't agree with you, and your gut said no, but your head said yes, and you went with your head. Anybody ever have that? And then the next day you think, ooh, I should have just listened to my gut. And even making a decision, your head could say yes, and even though your soul says no, you go ahead with the yes, and you always say, oh, I should have listened. We have a little voice that whispers to us sometimes, and we hear it, and yet we don't follow it and think, oh, afterwards, I should have listened. We don't listen well to others. We don't listen well to ourselves all the time, and also listening to God. Sometimes we're too busy to pray, too busy to slow down, too busy to quiet ourselves. Scripture always says, be still and listen to the still small voice. Sometimes we'd rather turn to a new book to improve our lives, or a new seminar, or whatever the new craze is, rather than turning to the greatest source and resource that we have available to us. One of the reasons Jesus said we have ears but do not hear, one of the things he was trying to warn us about is when you don't listen, you miss out on a lot. When we don't listen, we miss out on intimacy and connection and getting to know people and having more understanding and compassion. When we don't listen to ourselves, we feel disconnected from the truth of who we really are and our goals and what's most authentic to ourselves. When we don't listen, we miss out the guidance, from God, from Spirit. Not listening creates more problems and frustrations, more disconnect and more misunderstanding than anything else. What the theme in the Old Testament is? The overarching theme is when the children of Israel didn't listen to God, things didn't go well. And when they did listen to God, things went well. Look at all the great leaders in the Old Testament. They listened to God. Abraham listened to God. Noah listened. Jacob listened. David listened. They all listened. Could you imagine how different your life would be if you were more attentive in listening to the people in your life? If you listened better to yourself, and if you listened better to God. How many people know you could do a better job listening, and if you did, you would improve the quality of your life in some way? Okay, about 12. Perfect. The great 1930s and 40s theologian Paul Tillich once said that the first law of love is to listen. So the greatest commandment is this: to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, and soul and strength. Second greatest is to love others as yourself. If Tillich is right that the first law of love is to listen, let me rephrase what the greatest commandment could be. It's to listen to God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to listen to others as we listen to ourselves. Listening makes a powerful, powerful difference. There's nothing wrong with setting goals and visions and intentions, but there's an and, not an or, an and that we miss that robs us of blessings and a deeper experience of life. To me, all those goals are great and they're from the head and we deserve all the things we desire. But listening takes us deeper, to a deeper level of fulfillment, a deeper level of wisdom and understanding. And so by us making a commitment to be a better listener, we're saying to ourselves, I want to go deeper in my life. I want more meaning and fulfillment. I want to live a more soul-satisfying life. And the way to do that is through listening. Because I believe something's calling us deeper. But the question is, are we listening? Are we tuned in? Because sometimes it's easy to let your head override your heart and your soul. Let me give an example. Moses, remember when he was having that discussion with God at the burning bush, God in the burning bush? And God was saying, hey, Moses, so I need you to go and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And then Moses looked around and he said, are you talking to me? People thought that's Robert De Niro's line. He got it from Moses, I'm pretty sure. And then God said, Moses, go tell Pharaoh to let my people go. His next line was, hey, I'm not very articulate. Send my brother Aaron. And then God said, Moses, this is your calling. Get your butt going and stop beating around the burning bush and go to it. That was slightly paraphrased. But the essence of it is right there if you look. And so the point is that, his soul knew it was the truth, but sometimes our heads can talk us out of it. I didn't want to become a minister at all. I heard people say, I received the calling. I didn't know what they were talking about. And my head said no, but over time my heart felt yes. And it took a while, but I figured out what it meant to get the call. And our souls are calling us all to our next spiritual step, to our next step in becoming and expressing the fullness of that amazing being that we are. Many years ago, I was in Los Angeles for a conference, and I met a minister named Dr. Tom Costa. He was the religious science minister in Palm Springs, and we were just hanging around waiting for something to begin. And he said, hey, he was an adorable 80-year-old guy. He said, I used to be a bartender. Now I'm a minister. I said, really? He said, yeah, I used to serve spirits. Now I serve the Spirit. And he had a fabulous sense of humor, and he gave me a copy of his book, and his book was entitled Life. You want to make something of it? And so, but here's one of my favorite things in the book. He used that scripture that says, many are called, few are chosen. But he said that's not what it is. He said, many are called, but few choose. That we are all called, but few of us choose to listen. Few of us choose to follow it. Few of us choose to trust it. Few of us choose to believe that we actually have a higher calling. Few of us are willing to follow through and take action even when we know it. Everyone's called. But the question is, are you willing to choose to listen? Are you willing to choose to tune in at that deeper level? And are you willing to follow through with what your soul is calling you to do? Our Whitestone ceremony is created based on the truth that God has a plan and purpose for our lives. that our soul is calling us to our next step. Our soul is calling us to something deeper and something more meaningful. And it is a practice of listening, pausing to listen to what our soul is saying to us. Dr. David Williams developed this white stone ceremony, and it's based on the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 17. Let me read it to you. It'll show up on the screen. And it says, "Let anyone who has an ear listen to what the Spirit is saying to the churches. To everyone who conquers, I will give some of the hidden manna, and I will give a white stone. And on the white stone is written a new name that no one knows except the one who receives it." Let's point out a couple of things. Notice the first two lines begin to anyone and to everyone, making it clear that no one is excluded, that this possibility of doing something great in our life, having a calling, is all of us. However, it requires us to do some work. And the first one is to anyone who has an ear, to anyone who's willing to listen, to pause and really listen and go deeper. And to everyone who conquers, and that means to everyone who will overcome, to everyone who doesn't get stuck in the past, to anyone who wants to move forward in faith and to live the best life possible. When you do those two things, have a sincere willingness to listen and go deeper and to move forward in your life and not get stuck in the past, three things will happen. Number one, it says you will receive some of the hidden manna. Everyone knows that manna was that bread that the children of Israel in the wilderness God gave every day. And the thing about it, it was called their daily bread because it went bad the next day. They were encouraged not to hoard it or store it. You know, and sometimes we want to hoard stuff. And the reason it was a daily bread was to trust that God will give you what you need every day. You ever had a situation and you wanted to know every single step before you would even start? And this is trying to show God will give you what you need today, and that each day you'll get it. You don't need to know the whole story. You just need to have faith and know that you will receive that wisdom and guidance every day. That's what we'll receive, a reassurance of our guidance every day. And then the next one is you receive a white stone. Back then, when a prisoner got released from prison, they received a white stone to represent that they were free, that they were no longer in prison. So that white stone represents our freedom. And it sounds ridiculous. Of course we know we're free. But I would say sometimes we don't believe that. Sometimes we say things like, I'm just stuck in this job. Or we feel like I'm trapped in this situation. Sometimes we think lack and limitation control our lives. That we might say we're free, but we don't always feel that we're free to create a better life. Free to achieve and become any and everything we want to become. But the fact is you are free. And we have to believe that and affirm that. I am free. Let's say that together. I am free. Deep breath. Half voice together now. I am free. Deep breath. Half voice one more time. I am free. Turn to the person to your left and right and say, you are free. And to me, that's an important thing to remember, is that you are free. Nothing is stopping you from being your very best. Nothing is stopping you from changing, transforming, attracting, and manifesting the good you desire. Nothing. And then the final thing, it says, on that white stone will be written a new name. In the Bible, names represented people's nature. It represented their purpose and their direction in life. Moses' name actually means to draw out. He was not only drawn out of the Nile by Pharaoh's sister, he was also meant to draw out the children of Israel from bondage and slavery in Egypt. You know, Paul, his original name was Saul, which meant personal will. And when his name changed to Paul, it changed him. And actually the name Paul means to lessen oneself, your human self, to let your God self come forward. Jacob, his name was Supplanter, and it actually changed to Israel, and he became the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. So a change in name in the Bible represents a change in consciousness, a change in purpose, a change in direction for one's life. And the name isn't just like an actual name. It's actually a quality or an attribute that we're supposed to embody on this next phase in our spiritual path. You know, one year, the new name or direction I got, my words were, keep going. Sometimes your word might be to step up. Maybe your word might be step back. You know, maybe your word might be acceptance. Maybe your word might be honesty, to be more honest with ourselves and others. Maybe our word for the year might be to heal, to actually start working on our own healing when we've been putting it off for a long time. Maybe our word is to let go. Maybe our word might be commitment. Maybe our word might be confidence. Maybe our word might be peace. Maybe our word might be to lighten up. Maybe our word might be to trust. Maybe the word is forgive. Maybe the word is recreate. Maybe it's to start anew. I don't know what it is, but something's calling you. That your soul is wanting to express more and have you fully embody the person you came to be. And then the final thing it said, and no one knows the name except the one who receives it. See, we have to go to that secret and quiet place ourselves. We have to listen to that still small voice. No one can go there for us. You can't go there for me. I can't go there for you. We have to take that inner journey and listen to our souls within ourselves, and only we can know the answer. Sometimes we need to turn to ask other people what our answer is, and no, we need to trust and know that that wisdom's in us. We just have to make sure we take time to listen. So the question is, do you want to know your next spiritual step? Do you want to know what your soul is calling you to? Because the answer will be, then listen. Sometimes just asking your soul, what is it that I'm meant to express? What are you calling me to do or be? And just listen. And sometimes listening seems empty, and we're waiting for something incredible to happen. But if you just have to trust and listen. And it may not happen in that moment, but I guarantee you it will happen as a result of those moments, because we're opening our heart and opening a space to listen and allow it to come forth. And sometimes it takes a little time. Sometimes it comes quicker or slower, but you just got to be willing to continue to listen. We're not great at listening. It takes practice. It takes consistency. So we're going to do a little 2-minute or 3-minute meditation of practicing listening. Your word or your calling might come to you in this time. I want you to write it down in your pencil on your stone. And if it doesn't, that's okay, because this time is still important, because it's opening a path for that inspiration to come through in each of us. So everybody got your white stone? Hold it in your hand. You got your pencil? So everyone take a deep breath. Let go of anything that's distracting you from giving God your undivided attention. And let's just go to that place deep within us. To that secret place. To that place of stillness. And let's listen to the still small voice of God. As we just ask a simple question. God, what are you calling me to? What is that you want me to express or embody in this new year? And let's just listen. God has a plan and purpose for your life. Just trust that and listen. Open a space for God. If by chance your word or words come to you, write it down with your pencil on your stone. And if it doesn't, just keep holding a space, knowing that it'll come. And continue to go deeper and just listen. even if it is not coming in this moment, just know your intention and your willingness to listen and continuing to practice listening will open a space for allow you to hear, for allow that inspiration to come to you and through you in a way that you will recognize and it'll be clear. And so we just give thanks to God for the gift of life, for this amazing spiritual journey that we're on, for all the good that has happened. We give thanks if that direction has already come, that we are being called to. Or we give thanks in advance, knowing that it will come in its right and perfect time, and that will lead us to something even greater. So we affirm and give thanks for this all, and so it is. Amen. And it's good to have goals. It's good to have a vision. That's good. And let's also add to wanting to make this a great year, to also practice listening. Let's all make a commitment to listen to the people in our lives with more intention, to listen to ourselves with more sincerity, and to listen to God in that still small voice. And I guarantee you our lives will get better. Something is calling you deeper than ever before, and we can experience more fulfillment and joy, but the thing we need to do is listen. Happy New Year, and God bless everybody.